June 12th.
Sorry, I lost my mic. We're only 30 seconds over.
That's all right, it's only 30. You got somebody online? Can we go, are they there, hold on the door or over there?
Yeah.
Are they on? They're here. Go.
Last month, it was extremely difficult to hear people, and I couldn't comment, which probably you guys enjoyed. But
I'm not sure how far the mic is, so they picked the mic, that thing right there, right?
it kept going in and out.
Did it?
Yeah, and as I said, I was not allowed to even make a comment.
She probably automatically mutes everybody and has to release one.
Yeah, but I couldn't get released, so I was stuck.
Ed, can you hear us okay? Are you on the call? To bring the piece of paper.
I am on WebEx and I can hear you.
Okay.
Okay, great.
Sounds good. Okay, we're gonna call the meeting to order, and I guess the first order of this meeting introduce, or guests to introduce themselves. Boy, we know everybody.
Hello, everyone. I'm Justin Paulus here for a variance.
Okay, and we have Ed, what is that? Ed, what's your last name?
What's that, Ed Keplinger?
And you're for what project?
I'm here with Jamie Yeaman for Brockway.
Okay. All right, meeting's called to order. Has everybody had a chance to look at the minutes?
Yeah.
Any changes or comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
And second, and second. Did you get those?
Yes.
All in favor?
I,
Chairman's remarks. I don't have much to remark. I did think that was the session last night. I do think sometimes he kind of stressed the fact that our main purpose in life is to not get into detail of people's individual towns and villages stuff if it doesn't affect the countywide stuff. And sometimes we dwell on that. I don't know, I do, not about you guys, but, so I think we probably should pay attention to what our duties are, which is primarily seeing if it affects the countywide rather than their own individual stuff. And a lot of stuff does, but that's the only thing I have to say. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
You're-
Well, give a quick update on the Elevate Cortland project. Continuing to work on the countywide strategic development plan. We have one more community meeting scheduled on April 30th in McGraw at 6 PM.
Where? Because it's not on the website, it's where it is in the room.
At the community center.
Okay, but you might want to get that on the website because it's not there.
Okay, great. And also please add to your calendar if you would be able to attend. We're having the community summit where the consultant will be coming and presenting the rough outline of the plan. During the day, there'll be time slots for each of the chapters being proposed. And so it'll be roughly, we're talking about like 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Time span. So during the work hours for different agencies to come and hear about the chapters that pertain to them, and then open to the general public in the afternoon. Anyone here, of course, is encouraged to come to any or all of that. And we'll be sending out more details in the next couple of weeks. So
What date will that be?
Monday, June 17th.
Will there be any virtual attendance options?
I don't think so. And the consultant, we talked about that with some of the other meetings, and they haven't been in favor of offering that just because it's been making, they said it's made some of the meetings that they've tried to host a little more difficult. Yeah. So that's an update on that. And then, so this year, and we wanted to just introduce you guys because it is a larger project and it has come to us the last couple of months. This is the proposal for, you might have heard Jamie Yeaman's got a project proposed as part of the Homer DRI project, but these are several parcels that include the parcel you'll probably recognize most because it's the Homer Police Station area. So we wanted to just bring it to your attention in case you've heard of it progressing and wondered why it's not here, but to let you know that we're continuing. We had received it, and Ed, you're welcome to aid in that conversation, but that we needed more information. There were some things that we were concerned about when we started to review the process. Or to review the project, including the fact that there were multiple different parcels that were not originally proposed to be consolidated as part of this project. So we've gone back to Mr. Yeaman, and he's working with Ed to provide additional details and more site information to do a full report and bring it to you. So you can expect to see this next month.
I'm sorry, can you, maybe I missed something. What is this project?
Jamie, do you want to give an overview of the project? Of what, like, high level of what, like, parts of the building are coming down, parts of the building are being redeveloped, adding parking and whatnot?
Sure. Yeah, I'm happy to do that. Tricia, thanks for the introduction. So what Tricia's pulling up now, or what whoever's in charge of the technology is pulling up now, is the site plan. And at least on my end, it doesn't show the full site plan. I'm wondering if yeah, okay. So
I
maybe
think it's just the process, or it's just the medium they're working within.
Yeah,
Okay,
there we
that's
go.
a little better.
Yeah, so this is a pretty extensive redevelopment of a roughly 4-acre parcel in the center of the village of Homer. It spans from James Street on the south side. Just to give you, as Tricia was mentioning, some orientation, the building all the way in the lower left-hand corner is the train station, or as as it's currently being used is the police station. To the right of that, there's a single-story, kind of historic building that was actually, this whole site is part of Brockway, the original Brockway factory, which is why we're calling this project Brockway Square. At first, I was focusing quite a bit on a residential component, which would have gone right in that middle portion where it's now says future development. That residential component, with the higher interest rates, the cost to build, at this point is just not feasible. That's planned for a future development, but that's years away at this point. What we're trying to do at this point is just stabilize the property. That's a kind of a blight, kind of very underutilized, otherwise pretty nice area of the village of Homer. And what our effort is to do now is to bring a kind of small business creative district to that whole site. And as I mentioned, the site goes from the south end of the site, which is James Street, all the way north, covers a full block to Elm Ave. Actually, the original road for Elm Ave used to circle right through this property. So as Ed was saying, what we're proposing is a demolition of about a 60,000 square foot, 3-story industrial building that is really in dilapidated condition. The roofs are leaking. It's just been poorly managed. And I looked at trying to convert those to apartments, but the cost to renovate those are just, the cost is insurmountable. So we're demoing that 60,000 square foot industrial building, and we're keeping what you see there now, where there's no new buildings that we're resurrecting or that we're building. Building B and Building C, these are, I'm not sure if there's any other, I looked at the notes for the meeting, I didn't see any other attachments. We've got some really nice renderings that we're showing. That can come at a later meeting, but that's pretty much the 30,000 foot view. Building B, we're hoping for a mixed use, small business center, creative center. We're talking to a dance studio. We've got some conversations going on with a spa right now. And then Building C, we're likely going to be using that for light industrial or warehouse. There's a lot more I could get into on this. Really what we were aiming to do, Tricia mentioned, we had about an hour long, or really hour and a half long meeting last week between Tricia and Chad and a few others at the county office, as well as Ed. And just wanted to see if there was any initial questions. I think this is a really exciting project. This is something that I think the county needs and the village of Homer really needs. It's going to fill a large gap in what, in particular, the village of Homer is lacking. We developed the Crescent Commons building and took that from it was probably a couple years from needing to be torn down into what it is now, which is 50 apartments. And the big surprise for the Crescent Commons building is how successful the commercial component of that building has been. There's just not enough small business commercial spaces. And I think that this is the Homer's version of that, if you will. So I'll just kind of pause there. Ed, is there anything that you'd like to add?
Let's see, there were some questions about wetlands on the site, and we aren't impacting the wetlands. They're at the north.
And
Yes.
I don't mean to cut you off, but we're not going to discuss any details. I basically just wanted to let the board know.
Okay, that's fine.
That we had received the application for this project and that we're continuing to gather more details to provide it next month with the full.
Perfect, that works for me.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks, everybody.
Yep, thank you.
And we go into the applications then. And move on.
Yeah, thanks for clarifying, right, a big map was there.
Yeah.
I think I had no idea what it was.
Okay, so we have reports for the town of Homer, a conditional permit application. Applicant is seeking to operate a home occupation as a tool and die maker for part-time business.
Excuse me, Jan. We have a guest here. Can we go his project first or jump ahead?
This is the project.
Okay, all right. Yeah, it is yours, okay.
And it's in the admin.
Applicant is seeking to operate a home occupation as tool and die maker for part-time business with future plans of acquiring a federal firearms license. The town of Homer Code 403 permitted conditional uses includes home occupation profession. That's why he's seeking the conditional permit. Occupation covers a series of requirements that the applicant has indicated they are either in compliance with or that the requirements do not apply. Applicant indicates that they will operate the business out of a new 540 square foot addition on the east side of the residence. Applicant is applying to become a federal firearms licensee and has indicated that once the FFL is acquired, to use the new shop addition to produce and sell firearms, gunsmithing, and conduct an occasional in-person background check. A primary sales medium will be via the internet, with the vast majority of sales being shipped to other FFLs with no customers present at my premise. This proposal is considered a type 2 action on your seeker, therefore does not require further action. Staff recommends approval of this application for a conditional permit for a home occupation.
Okay, so could we have a motion to accept staffs or not?
Motion
Yeah.
to accept.
Do we have a second? Any discussion?
I was wondering how many employees you plan on having in your big business?
Just be, if it ever expands to be more, setting up place right now is obviously more space, more machines, that sort of thing, so. For the time being, my only plan is to have only me.
Any other questions? All in favor of staff's recommendations? Opposed? Motion carries.
You're welcome to stay for the whole meeting, but you don't have to.
I appreciate everyone's time.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Okay, so next we have the city of Portland, application for area variances and a site plan review, with Core Properties LLC, also floodplain permit, that's maybe up to the top. Applicant is seeking to add a new egress door landing and stairway to the second floor dwelling unit. This is in an R1 district. City of Portland Code 300-125 for extension and enlargement indicates that extension or enlargement of a non-conforming use shall mean the extension of the use to any area outside the building. Furthermore, extension or enlargement indicates that no non-conforming use may be expanded into any building or lot or portions thereof not used for such uses on the day of the enactment of this chapter. However, a non-conforming use may be extended throughout any parts of the building or lot which were manifestly arranged or designed for such use at the time of the enactment of this chapter. This parcel is a pre-existing non-conforming 2-unit residential property located in the Cortland district, which is currently not permitted in this district. But since it meets the requirement bolded above, an expansion would be permitted. This lot does not meet the minimum lot size, applicant therefore seeks the minimum lot size variance. The lot width is below the minimum, applicant therefore seeks a lot width variance. The front yard is smaller than the minimum, therefore applicant seeks a front yard variance. Maximum lot coverage is already non-conforming, and this would increase the non-conformity, therefore applicant seeks a maximum lot coverage variance. The vegetative strip that on every residential between, let me just read it. Code 375 required lawn in residential districts indicates that on every lot in a residential district, there shall be a 4-foot vegetative strip along all required side and rear yards, and in which strip a fence may be erected. This property does not have such a strip. Applicant therefore seeks a variance from the required 4-foot vegetative strip. Code 300-132, actions required of site plan review and exemptions indicates that following actions require a site plan review when a primary building or structure is altered such that its footprint or facade is altered. Installation of a new egress door, landing, and stairway to the second floor dwelling unit would alter the facade of the building, and applicant therefore is seeking the site plan review. Parcel is in a floodplain area. Applicant therefore has applied for a floodplain development permit. Finally, this action is type 2 under seeker. Maintenance or repair involving no substantial changes in an existing structure facility, and therefore does not require the completion of the environmental assessment. The staff recommends approval of this application for a conditional permit only under the following conditions: that the applicant obtains a floodplain permit from the code officer, that the city balance the benefit to be realized by the applicant against any potential detriment to the health, safety, and general welfare of the neighborhood community in relation to the slight increase in non-conforming lot coverage.
Could I have a motion? Do I have a second? Yeah. Any comments? Amy?
Our training last night with the Department of State said it wasn't necessary to, a pre-existing non-conforming lot does not need to lot coverage, yes, but not, the lot doesn't have to come into conformity with it existed at the time of the ordinance. That
We
was,
didn't put that into the recommendations on this one. I don't think.
no, but that was last night in our training.
He did address that last night?
Yeah,
Okay,
no. So,
but that's not in the recommendations to get variances, it's in
no,
the, or it doesn't say in the recommendations.
No.
I do have a question for Roy. Just internal work, put a new door on and then put some new stairs inside.
No, it's all external.
What's that?
It's all external.
Okay.
Put them coming out the back of the house, landing, and so there.
So it's a new set of stairs outside, there wasn't one before?
Yep.
So isn't that
fire issue,
a change to the
that,
lot coverage and everything else when he does that? Or not?
He's gonna put it right on top of the parking lot.
I know, but I mean, not.
Is it, was it
Yeah, the-
apartments before, is it now to apartments? How do they get to the top apartment?
inside scared?
There's no sudden, they just put the second mean the egress on.
I guess my second, even though this is not our issue, I guess it's not a countywide issue for this building, but I don't consider that maintenance of a building and being a type 2 action personally. It's like they're making changes to it and modifying the egress of a building. I think when you modify the egress of an apartment, it's more than just maintenance. But anyhow, it's not a countywide issue, I don't think, regardless. So I don't have a big problem with whatever the city wants to do on it. Does anybody else have a?
No, can I just ask a question? How, you know, the lot size is supposed to be 10,000 square feet. That's, but this is only, it's less than half of that. How was this approved originally?
Before there was zoning, right, before there was zoning.
Before there was zoning?
All these houses existed years and years before the zoning ordinance existed. That's why they're pre-existing. I mean, lots in the village, I mean, the city of Cortland were tiny and they built houses on them. And that's, you find that everywhere in cities and villages and stuff. Like obviously most of the village of Homer, most of the city of Cortland, most of Cincinnati, any place like that's the same situation. Way before there was zoning. Some of the zoning ordinances are a little bit overkill on some stuff. But they existed long before there was a zoning order.
Okay, brings to me. And is the parking requirements not within this? That,
What's that? Yeah,
Yeah, I guess,
that's your question.
I guess we're not increasing any of the units, so it.
You're not adding number of units on or anything yet.
It wouldn't affect, I mean, if we're listing, seeking variances for all kinds of different things and their parking requirements aren't met either, would that be one of them that would be?
Well, no, because, to me, you're not changing anything internally, you're not changing the number of apartments, you're not changing the footprint of setbacks and all that kind of stuff, I don't.
But I'm gonna
I agree.
say, one
Oh, you're gonna say something?
yeah, I'm gonna agree to disagree with you, right? And I believe the mayor has been trying to contact you about this.
About this one?
I respect, no, about this issue in general about a so our code says you cannot expand on a non-conforming use.
Correct.
I understand fully that in a static condition, those lots are allowed to exist. Once you start adding onto that property, you now you're expanding square footage, you're making a change to that. It's no longer static.
Yep.
So it is the corporation council, the mayor's, and my belief that when possible, we are going to try to get these back into conformity by area variances when we can. That's why we're doing what we're doing.
That's understandable, but I think the city ordinance actually reads though, a non-conforming facility, as long as it's not changing that non-conformity.
It's changing, but you can't expand on that non-conformity. It also said that, so now that it doesn't contradict itself in 50 now, it's just an unknown.
So it's just not the standard that most places go by.
I mean, like, if the side yard remains the side yard and you're not expanding on the side yard, why do you need to make that one, bring that in?
Their lot is non-conforming.
Right.
Yeah, but it was prior.
But you're not,
I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying, this is just our view as municipality. And it's the only way we're ever going to get, especially in a municipality like ours, get things into quasi-conformity with area variances, so that's what we're trying to do.
What we do is we evaluate what's provided to us. And so a lot of other municipalities, you know, like the village of Homer, even example with Justin's, he had there's like the addition on the backside, but it's in an agricultural district. And it was that code enforcement officer's determination that they didn't need to come for site plan review. You know, that's his determination.
Yeah.
You know, and so we say, okay, we look at what you sent us, and what what the code enforcement officers, what their interpretation is we take that.
And also, so if I might add, in this case, not in every case when I do this, in this particular case, one of the reasons they're here is because the actual use of them.
right,
And they're adding on to structure.
that, yeah. You're not supposed to expand the non-conforming use, that I understand.
So
We have, just because one of our,
Much that.
it's not really a use variance, they're adding a set of stairs, so I couldn't see making them go for a use variance as a house.
But
No.
but yeah, the side yard doesn't change at all, but you're making them change that. I mean, if anything, make.
But my point is they're not, it's not going from an R1, it's, in this case, it is definitely an area, but they're expanding on an area. I mean, it's my interpretation, okay?
I see.
And
what
and also, believe me, before I do any of this stuff, I vetted a lot of this stuff with our corporation council, okay? And I was like, and then my first instinct was, it's a use variance, it's not from here. And actually, then I was like, stairs, you have to have some sort of variance because it's not conforming use, just give them an area variance. And then you start looking at the rest of the lot and you're like, that's off, that's off, that's off, that's off. So why not, while they're here for instead of nickel and dime and everything, get it all done. And then that lot's taken care of, so the next time that they want to do something that, as long as they don't impinge on what's already been approved, you know, like, then they've already got it, it's already there, I can go back into it. So, let me explain it.
It's already
Yeah.
existing.
yeah, I don't know, Roy, but go ahead.
I'm good, so, first of all, with all due respect, or I appreciate your opinion, you've caught some things in the past. He said at the beginning of the meeting, I appreciate your opinions, I appreciate you letting me know, I have to do this long-term, it's what the local municipality has to do, okay? I am not, this was not my idea, okay?
And this one is not,
General consensus of the core council and the mayor said,
this is not a countywide issue on this, it's really a city issue. If they want to do it that way, I'm not gonna.
I'm good.
Rapidly on.
That way, if they run the stuff, I think so.
It's not gonna fair. He's not, well, he's not. Little bit of the floodplain, but I don't say floodplain thing, but look at the stairs going. That was blind, so.
But I still want to make sure that doesn't impede any potential
Yeah,
water flow.
yeah, there was an issue of.
I'm gonna make sure that all of them, it's all open, so water can go, you know, and then.
So I'm okay. Any other questions?
No.
All in favor of staff's recommendation?
Bye-bye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, also for the city, we have a site plan review of area variance application for Crown properties. and R4 multifamily residential district. Applicant is seeking to change the use of the building at 30 Tompkins Street from offices to a 2-unit dwelling, necessitating site plan review and area variances. This property served as offices for the YMCA next door and was recently purchased by Paragon Properties, who seek to turn it into a 2-unit dwelling. City of Cortland, code 322, says that two-family dwellings in an R4 district is the permitted use. Therefore, a use variance in this case is not needed. 332, actions requiring site plan review. When a vehicular movement, vehicular parking or pedestrian walkway is altered, a change in use of offices to dwellings would necessarily change vehicular movement and parking due to 24-hour use. Therefore, applicant seeks site plan review. Code 323, residential lot area and yard requirements, indicates the minimum side yard in an R4 district is to be 15 feet. The west yard is currently non-conforming at 2.5 feet. Therefore, applicant seeks an area variance to side yard minimum.
Yeah, so that's a detached garage with a potential another apartment above it, but it's still a detached garage, so it's still within that 4 feet. Now, if you look in the footnote on that table, it's 4 feet, so it's still within that.
No, that's good.
Code 383, off-street parking requirements indicates that 2 spaces per unit are required for 2-family dwellings. Off-street parking requirements also indicates that the maximum number of parking spaces allowable is not to exceed 110% of the requirement. This would mean that the maximum number of parking spots for the proposed use would be approximately 5. Applicant seeks to create 11 parking spots on the parcel. Therefore, applicant seeks a variance from the maximum number of parking spots. Parcel is located in the historic overlay district, and they put in an application for it. It was supposed to be reviewed last night. I don't know if that actually happened.
Yeah, review just Tuesday morning, and I got to go.
384 parking area location design, gives design standards. All parking spaces, driveways, and driving aisles should have an impervious surface, must be surfaced with concrete or asphalt. Let's see, also, they shall be delineated with a painted line. Parking lot shall be improved with necessary lighting, traffic control signs. Parking spaces shall be designed to permit entry and exit without moving any other vehicle. Parking area of this parking currently does not conform to these design standards. Therefore, they recommend that approval of the project be contingent upon adherence to all applicable code 384 design standards. Finally, this proposal considers type 2 act under seeker reuse of a residential or commercial structure where the residential or commercial use is a permitted use under the applicable zoning law. Therefore, does not require completion of an environmental assessment form. Staff recommends approval of this application for site plan review and area variances only under the following conditions. That the city balance the benefit to be realized by the applicant against any potential detriment to health, safety, and general welfare of the neighborhood or community by approving the change of use of the property. That any approval of this project be contingent upon approval by the City of the Portland Historic Commission. That the approval of this project be contingent upon adherence to all applicable code 384 parking design standards.
We'll get started. I have a conflict on this because Gary's asked me to work on sprinklers and stuff at that house. So I shouldn't be, actually, for the meeting last night, I mean, maybe I'm not supposed to be in this room at all during the discussion on it. Well, it makes a sense. Are you vice chair?
No.
Who was right down?
Well, slowing, not here.
It'd be better if somebody else ran the meeting while I walked, or just didn't listen to it and ask the questions and stuff, so. How can we work that out if I'm not supposed to be involved in it? To call the questions and all that kind of stuff.
Questions. And Paul's not here, no.
And you've been, why don't you serve on that duty today as vice or something like that and run the meeting for this week? I will leave if people want me to, otherwise I'll stay here.
Just don't help.
If we, every couple of staff recommendations. We haven't made a motion at all yet. Can we get a motion on the staff recommendation? I'll make a motion. Second, Amy. And question.
I have two questions. Is this gonna be college housing? And that, this is just my personal, I guess it doesn't matter. And
So I am respectfully not gonna answer that because all rental property in the city is rental property. We don't care what it's.
okay, okay, and then my second question, do you have to vote to accept? Yeah. Did you make a motion to accept the?
Yeah, all those in favor?
Oh,
I
Did you make a motion?
Need a motion and a second to accept.
Yeah, we did.
Motion and a second, and then we have a
Amy, motion.
Kim made a
Oh,
motion.
sorry, I thought you did.
Okay.
Okay, now discussion.
And then I guess my second question is, they're not gonna, there's no throughway between the Y in this parking, okay? Because it was,
So I'd like to add that the fact that they did hire Mr. Filey, they're adding a sprinkler system when they don't really need to, because it's a two-family. Paradigm does things the right way. They're taking a building that's been vacant for quite some time and has a lot of internal issues and really good. If you know Mrs. Klein at the historical district, she was really happy with the material that they're using. This is really, it's a really good project.
Why 11 parking spots?
I declined to answer the one question. You can put two and two together.
They're planning on putting more apartments.
Well,
more people for.
yeah.
I wondered about, is there, the rear garage has a deck on it, is that a livable space back there?
No, it's not.
Not right now.
No, but again, I'm not, they are good about getting permits, and if they have to expand on this, they'll go through all the documents.
I was just wondering if multiple residences were allowed as a use in there in the R4 district.
Well, it can't exist anyway. Right in chapter 1, the prohibited thing, you can't have two families or two single families or a combination thereof on any lot in the city without
Without a
without a.
Okay,
But that's not included in this.
no, right.
No.
I guess I'm still upset over at 11 spots for cars. It seems to me that the aim has been, and maybe you can address this, Tricia, in the comprehensive plan to reduce the amount of car traffic, not increase the situation where we can have more cars. And so if we have 2 apartments, why 11 car slots? I think 5 makes perfect sense, but I don't understand why we should be supporting the idea of twice plus that number.
Well, I'll answer your question by answering your question. Every single college could have a car nowadays. And by paving a lot, putting in line, having designated parking, you're preventing them from parking all over the lawn, digging up and creating like we have at other properties in that general area. Right? Again, Paradigm with this project has, they brought it to me, but let me see it before they even were going through the motions. So.
Just because they have a car parked there doesn't mean they're going to be driving there, right? This is the walking distance to campus and downtown.
Yeah, it's just,
It keeps their cars.
so you get 11 parking spaces, and that's not going to use all 11, maybe one kid won't have it. I mean, it's just.
Are they paving any new areas other than what's already?
Well, they're gonna have to stay, so there's a small, if you look around that backside, that one vehicle, they're gonna just edit that off. And so it's already paved.
Right. And I think that was.
There's a portion there that's already driveway that's not paved. So they're not increasing that area, they're just gonna pave that area that's not crushed stone.
So they're not increasing the.
Right. It's, if you look.
I was wondering about the green space percentage if that was not.
If you look at where these parking spots are provided, it's at the edge of this garage.
Mhm.
So if you look, it's. It's already. Yeah, okay.
I can understand your concern, but you go on, I'm just gonna use Reynolds Avenue as an example of the polar opposite. They've got 11 cars parked at 6 of those properties down there in parking lots that were made for free.
Right.
So things have changed. I mean, I mean, even a single family home now, kids have it.
It's not in the front yard, it's not
Things
standing
aren't being
used,
used.
it's not,
It's well designed.
yeah, where they can turn around and maneuver on site.
I'm thinking about, as I said, the vision for our county is to reduce our reliance on cars, et cetera. But I haven't actually seen a whole lot from the Elevate plan yet as to, so maybe you can talk a little bit about that, whether, you know, what the vision.
I think that's also, I think that walkability, access to walkability is across the board, but each municipality has their own individual comprehensive plan as well. Because us as a county, we don't control land use.
Right.
But, so if the city's perspective on available parking is that they would rather have well-designed available parking off their streets and behind a facility. I don't think that that's within, I think, our purview. I don't think that us hindering development like this helps the case for students to do more walk and depend less on their vehicles. And it's a larger problem too with the lack of access to parking on campus as well. Students to leave their vehicles on campus and walk to and from buildings. I think that, you know, at some point, you know, I don't think that that's an issue that's been brought to light. I think that accessibility and more safer sidewalks and safer walkability has been proposed, but there hasn't been a really strong message of reducing dependency on vehicles for students who travel in to go to college. Absolutely reducing dependency on vehicles for people to be able to utilize public transportation more readily from rural areas or within the city itself. But I think locations to be able to park and store vehicles for students specifically that travel in from out of town, that's kind of that one step farther that I'm not, that concern hasn't come out.
My interpretation on countywide walkability is not in the city, it's walkable. The city's walkable, it's the outlying areas that have no sidewalks. I mean, that's my interpretation on the county concept of walkability, not this where we have sidewalks.
And this, moving forward, you haven't seen it yet, it's in the works still. I know you're familiar with the over occupancy, I'm just gonna throw that, I'm throwing the word out there, the over occupancy tennis match that's been going on between the city and, all right? Our vision right now, and this is just our vision that hasn't been signed into the law yet, is not necessarily to attack the houses that are the problem, but to attack the actual problems that are created by it, which are parking, garbage, nuisances. And by providing proper parking to code, you take care of the blight that's caused by parking all over the lawns and parking blocking the sidewalks and like I said, please feel free to go down some of our college neighborhoods and see what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what you're talking about.
Okay, anybody else? All those in favor of accepting this? As they are written, anybody reject?
Abstain.
And one abstention, Chuck.
Okay, done. Okay, one more for the city, and I did want to hand out this appendices that go with it. These are documents from the city that just, back up what they're claiming about.
About what?
About the zoning. So originally, if you remember, was it last
Oh, last year.
meeting?
So there's a change in map.
Right.
You don't have to convince people.
How much should we get paid for this job?
Well, they're the highlighted parts, you don't need to go with it.
Right, right. Read on.
But if I understand it right, this is to correct the map.
You don't want me to read it?
Well, you all know kind of the issue, right? You can go through it if you want. I think it's a matter of, personally, they went through the history and found out that the map shouldn't have been drawn the way it was.
Yeah,
I'm reading it
yeah.
correctly. what you're saying.
Yeah.
I think it's making sure that, I don't know if we have to go through that. Was it a GIS error or was it just the map itself? Is it the official map of the city?
Yeah, it is.
So we have to modify the official map of the city. So I might want to read the other recommendations out then.
And it goes all the way back to 65, is that the basis of what it was?
Yes, first of all, I would like to say, thank you for catching us.
That would have been,
Yes, with the major snafu, so thank you for catching this. And I immediately went back and found this in our old property files that in 1965, the Business Bureau or whatever it was, took it and changed it from an R1 to a B2 district or whatever it was. And then in 79, was it? We also found another documentation from Mr. Parkinoni, who lives behind where you
general.
lives behind the parcel we were talking about, was arguing, there were people hanging out behind the building and everything else, and then there was a recommendation in there for an 8-foot buffer at the time, which was a different buffer, which is now a 10-foot buffer between a commercial business district and a residential district. So those two forms show you that right there. So in 1965, it was changed to a B2, whatever that was back then, and in 1979, there's confirmation there that it was also some sort of business or commercial district, because otherwise it would have required an 8-foot buffer.
What is the buffering requirements now for the GB
Between a business person
and
and
the residential?
residential kind of work.
And so is there,
You've got a 10-foot fence up there now.
yeah, but isn't chain link, I mean, something that is not a
I'm sure Mr. Suits would, if you would prefer a
planting,
10-foot, I know there's chain link in the front, I'm not sure what's in the back, I know it used to
it
be.
goes all the way around.
If you look at that, they were required to put up a fence back then, so. If that's something you would require to make this change, Mr. Suits would have no issue with that.
No, I was just wondering if that was part of the regulations.
But
Now,
so there's really nothing back there anyway, so if you wanted that buffer between the building and there, I don't think you would have an issue with it.
looks like it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there is one house right there close by.
Mr. Parker knows.
Oh,
I'm back in the 70s.
So anyhow, we didn't read the recommendation, but it was to approve the application for the zoning change. I can just say that. So can we have a motion to approve staff's recommendation? Have a second.
So what was first you said?
Because we've had a discussion anymore. Not all in favor of staff's recommendation? Any opposed?
Sorry, I talked too much. Again, for finishing this, because it would have been pretty.
It was kind of,
The guy,
the attorney's response was like,
no, there's probably just almost responsible.
yeah.
And he's really invested in the community. So,
An article the other night in the paper,
They
they
still
have
haven't approved it.
2,000 applications and he is 1,400 out still.
It's been going on. Yeah.
1,200 out or something.
just like,
It's a long process.
he's invested $2.5 million in the community, and the ones that does open up sales tax, that's gonna be going to the county. It's just,
What is the rate for sales tax on that?
I have no idea. At least-
Same as tobacco?
I wouldn't know.
Well, like tobacco, the county has additional tax for tobacco, don't they? Versus a regular tax, is that an additional tax? Yeah.
So again, thank you. Just-
Thank you.
Let's go on.
Have a good night to you.
Sorry, make sure, right.
Thank you for understanding our concerns, Roy.
No, I
Comments.
do, I
And I
understand.
understand where you're coming from.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Take care.
Ready to move on? Next, we have a subdivision request from the town of Cincinnati. Want to create 9 lots where there's now 1 in agricultural district. The applicant seeks to split his lot into 9 lots of different sizes ranging from 8 acres to 40 acres. These lots are numbered 1 to 9 on the submitted survey map. But it'll read or just, no. The town of Cincinnati subdivision regulations, would classify this as a major subdivision because it's more than 3 lots. And then according to the county health department, where there's no public water or sewer, minimum lot area is around 2.4 acres, and these lots will conform to this minimum. According to Cortland County Health Department, minimum lot width shall be 300 feet. All these proposed lots meet this minimum. The town of Cincinnati's subdivision regulations indicate that for a major subdivision lot depth shall not be more than 3 times the lot frontage. And several of these lots do not conform to this code. So it's therefore recommended that the applicant both apply for and obtain an area variance for the lot width, the depth ratio, or that the town consider requiring the applicant's proposed lot with additional road frontage. Town of Cincinnati's code 650 determination of land suitability says that no plan of subdivision of land shall be approved unless after adequate investigation and consultation with the county health department, soil and water conservation district planning board determines that the land can be used for building purposes without danger to health and is otherwise suitable for such purposes. This includes wetlands and other areas with insufficient drainage conditions. It is therefore recommended that the planning board make a determination based on adequate investigation and consultation with the county health department and soil and water conservation district, whether the land can be used for building purposes without danger to health and is otherwise suitable for such purposes. Finally, this proposal is considered an unlisted action for seeker. Applicant does complete part 1 of the short environmental assessment form. Parts 2 and 3 will then be completed by the town to determine if there may be any significant adverse environmental impacts as a result of the proposed use. The staff recommends approval of this application for a major subdivision only in the following conditions: that the applicant both apply for and obtain an area variance for the lot width to depth ratio, or that the town consider requiring the applicant to propose lots with additional road frontage, that the planning board makes a determination based on adequate investigation and consultation with the county health department and soil and water conservation district, that the land can be used for building purposes without danger to health and is otherwise suitable for such purposes, and in compliance with seeker requirements.
They have a motion to accept staff's recommendations. Me. Okay. Any discussion?
I'd like to point out that this is pretty great that we're getting GMLs from Cincinnati.
Good comment.
We've got like drawers of the records and some municipalities have really large sections and Cincinnati is not large, but they've got some new board members and they're working through some learning processes. So these were two of the first of the applications that were going to be coming through from them. And so I'd just like to say that I'm really proud of their board. They're working on updating an outdated comprehensive plan. They're doing a lot of research. They're asking a lot of questions. They're participating. They're asking for a lot of resources, but they're definitely working through some learning experiences.
To deal with the friction of inertia, we're used to not having to answer
Yeah.
these things. that-
I
So,
live in Couple.
yeah, so probably it's like, right, and Donnell's feeling that, and Scott, it's hard to start when you've had something that has been dismissed, some zoning regulations that have been dismissed for long periods of time. And so I think that they're really trying their best, and there are some things that you'll see in the next one, but I want to throw out that they're working hard, so.
These are subdivision regs. Do they have zoning design?
They do, they do. Yep, they have zoning regulations and subdivision regulations, but they are in dire need of updating. So that's why they are working on their comprehensive plan, so that they can then continue on to update their zoning regulations.
I just wondered, can you explain why there is such a need for the depth to ratio of frontage, why it's needed? In rural areas like this could be potential great, somebody gonna buy one lot, or that's their hunting area way behind their house, or something like that, but.
I think that most likely when they develop the regulations is not to have like the long skinny strips
Yeah.
next to each other. And so we just use what is in their zoning regulations, or their subdivision regulations, the exacts.
Well, if you're gonna put a house, and you could potentially put it all the way at the end of the property, the need for utilities and electric service and fire emergency response time and everything like that.
I think some places they have the right, like, some people in Berlin, taking a lot, taking a stretch of land and made, 50-foot wide lots going back 1,000 feet, just because you don't build a road that way for a big piece of property. So it's that idea behind the ratios, I think, so people don't do that kind of stuff. And just build along the road rather than having to put the money in, putting a road and all that kind of stuff themselves.
That's one
Probably
the 5 acre thing came into play. People were making these little narrow lots,
Right.
Yeah,
put these old cornfields up,
Okay.
and they'd be deep, very narrow.
yeah.
So there are,
That was one of them.
alternative is either to put a road in that would make,
Right.
divide the lots into smaller sizes, or
And then the project wouldn't be on the existing road, they'd be on their own road or something.
less than the amount. How many?
That's what they're going to subdivision stuff.
So there's nine lots being, and they're varying sizes. I think the smallest one was 8.
They're pretty good size.
Yeah, yeah,
Two of them were very large.
8 acre.
yeah, I think they're from 8 acres to 40 acres. Yeah.
I do have a question. Is there the health department, do they get into lots of that big into requiring the tests and stuff like that on each lot? They used to do that for smaller size lots. That was what they're doing.
I think they have to get, so for every person across the county who wants to put in a well or septic system, they have to have an engineer and design septic system that gets approved through the county health
But
department.
that's normal for individual lots, but I'm saying the project I work on requires the whole subdivision to be done before it can be subdivided.
I don't think on this type.
Oh, yeah, like Blue Creek Road had to do it most of them that way, and according to what I've seen. So I thought there was a regulation, the health department statewide had a requirement for that. I don't know, if it has a lot size, they're over a certain size, and you have to, when you have 8 acre lots.
8 acres.
We're talking about lots, they're like, you
I
know,
think it's
1 acre and 2 acre lots
Yeah.
versus this, so maybe, I don't really know, but,
Yeah.
Well.
you don't know either. Right.
We haven't brought it up to us,
Right.
but,
right.
that's really good.
Didn't know.
thought when we have, yeah.
Okay.
We'll double check with them, because I'd be curious to know if that is true, like what
I thought
the.
there's a state regulation on subdivision stuff, of certain numbers, it might be the size of. But, okay, if these lots are so big, it'll just be a problem, we need something.
Right.
Yeah, I looked up Christmas and Associates. They seem to be a real estate agency that appears to be above board and designed specifically to find places in the woods, basically.
And I'll just say
Is that right?
that, that Cincinnatus subdivision, they provided above and beyond.
Mm.
They provided the same level, we did not have to ask for one thing. You know, they provided all of the, like an actual survey map as a preliminary plat, which is like unheard of, with all the dimensions and information.
Right. I was just curious to make sure that they weren't.
Yeah, no, they're a pretty well known developer. Especially around this area,
I've seen their stuff around several places.
yeah.
Any other questions or comments? All in favor of staff's recommendations? Opposed? Didn't have your number.
Okay, so our last Jim out, the town of Cincinnati again, special permit and site plan review. For property and the hamlet. Applicant seeks to renovate an old bank area, convert the ground floor to a 500 square foot coffee shop, and the second floor for a 4-unit dwelling with 2 bedrooms and 1 1-bedroom units.
Hmm.
Two
1-bedroom.
2 2-bedroom.
Two bedroom. And they have a distinction in their zoning regulations that pertains to that, so.
The town of Cincinnati's code indicates that permitted uses in the RA district include 1, 2, and 3 family dwellings. Therefore, the request for retail restaurant coffee shop with 4 apartments is not a permitted use. Code 504, conditional use requirement special permit issued by the planning board indicates that in the RH district, the following uses require special permit: A, retail business, H, restaurants, and conversions. So that applies to this project. This proposed use is a conversion from a previous bank, now vacant, to a mixed-use retail restaurant 4-unit dwelling. Therefore, applicant seeks a special permit for the planned use of this property. Article 1001 requires that all applications for a special permit be accompanied by a site plan review. Therefore, applicant also seeks site plan review. Code 601 general standards include sign requirements. No proposed sign information was included in the application. Therefore, the town is therefore recommended that if the applicant intends to use signage for any part of the project, the town requires that the applicant adhere to all standards pertaining to signage for the proposed business as proposed. So this is on a corner, so according to their regulations, it's considered to have 2 front yards and 2 side yards and no rear yard. Code 605 parking indicates that all uses shall provide adequate off-street parking of all vehicles parked during typical peak use periods. Parking should be designed to eliminate the need to back out or to park on the shoulder of public roads. Parking spaces shown on the proposed site plan.
It was included, but I just pulled it out. I got it.
Parking space shown on the road site plan indicate that drivers have no room to turn around, but must back out onto the road in this proposed project. It's therefore recommended that the town require the applicant to provide adequate room for parking maneuvering without the need to back out or part of the shoulder of the public roads, or to apply for and obtain an area variance. Code 606, parking indicates the minimum standards supplementary to the basic standards standard above are as follows: one parking space for each employee at places of employment and one parking space per 500 square feet of gross floor area. It's been indicated that the proposed coffee shop on the first floor of the building is to be 500 square feet with 2 employees, therefore requiring 3 parking spaces. There are 3 parking spaces provided off Lower Cincinnati Road that are proposed to be used for the business on the first floor. Special permit use regulations, code 17 lists a requirement for multiple family dwellings, which is proposed for the second floor. Minimum habitable space for 1 bedroom is 600 square feet, for a 2-bedroom is 800 square feet. This would require a minimum of 2,800 square feet of habitable space. The outside dimensions of the second floor are approximately 300 square feet. However, the applicant has not provided an actual square footage of habitable space available, or how big the apartments would be. It is therefore recommended that the town require the applicant to provide accurate layout dimensions and information to ensure compliance with current building code, fire code, and code 715 requirements. Code 715 includes the setback requirements. Since the applicant will be altering the side yard setback and no actual dimension was provided to verify side yard requirement of 50 feet was being met, it is recommended that the town require the applicant to show compliance with the side yard setback as per code 715, C, or apply for and obtain an area variance. Code 715D requires that all apartments on the second floor or higher shall have 2 means of external access. This information was not provided in the site plan, therefore, it is recommended the town ensure that the applicant is providing 2 means of external access as per the code. Code 715F requires that off-street parking will be provided in the amount of 2 spaces for each unit, plus 1 additional space for every 2 units. This requirement would be a total of 10 spaces for the 4 proposed apartments. The applicant has proposed 6 off-street parking spaces, which is less than required. It is therefore recommended the town either require the applicant to reduce the number of units or apply for and obtain an area variance from the number of parking spaces required as per this code. Code 715H requires that all plans submitted for site plan approval address at least sewage disposal, water supply, storm drainage, landscaping, lighting, pedestrian and vehicular circulation, and off-street parking. Applicant has not provided information on several of these items listed. It is therefore recommended that the town require the applicant to provide sufficient information as listed in code 715H. Cortland County Health Department requires that all food service applicants obtain a food service establishment permit. In order to receive the permit, the applicant must follow food service establishment pre-operational review procedure for plan submission and approved instructions. And then I detail the things that they have to provide. Therefore, applicant must complete requirements and obtain approval for a food service establishment permit from the Cortland County Health Department for planned food service use. Cortland County Health Department regulations on food systems require a new and replacement system that an engineer is designed and required for all new construction and all replacement full and or leach only systems. Any New York State licensed physical engineer may be used. The engineer will conduct soil test, percolation, the full design system and inspect the installation. The application for a subsurface sewage treatment permit must be completed and submitted to the county health department. Therefore, applicant must engage an engineer and design and inspect and a sewage system, submit an application to the Cortland County Health Department and receive a subsurface sewage treatment permit prior to obtaining a certificate of occupancy. Finally, this proposal is contained type 2 action receiver reuse of a residential or commercial structure or of a structure containing mixed residential and commercial uses where the residential and commercial use is a permitted use under the applicable zoning law or ordinance, including permitted by special use permit. Staff recommends approval of this application for special permit and site plan only under the following conditions: that if the applicant intends to include signage for any part of the project, the town require the applicant to adhere to all standards pertaining to signage for the proposed business development proposed 601. That the town require the applicant to provide adequate room for parking maneuvering without the need to back out or to park on the shoulder of public roads or provide for an obtained area variance. That the town require the applicant to provide accurate layout dimensions and information to ensure compliance with current building code, fire code, and code 715 requirements. That the town require the applicant to show compliance with side yard setback as per code 715C, or apply or obtain an area variance. That the town ensure that the applicant is providing two means of external access as per code 715D. That the town either require the applicant to reduce the number of units or apply for the obtain an area variance from the number of parking spaces required as per code 715F. That the town require the applicant to provide sufficient information as listed in code 715H. That the applicant completes requirements and obtains approval for a food service establishment permit from Cortland County Health Department for planned food service use. That the applicant engages an engineer to design and inspect the sewage system, submit an application to the Cortland County Health Department, and receive a subsurface sewage treatment permit prior to obtaining a certificate of occupancy.
Okay, we have a motion to accept staff's recommendations. And we have a second. Kim, any comments?
I'll comment that this, yeah. Well, first, this is, I think, part of their uphill battle. This was under construction. There was a new owner who was in the middle of renovating the interior and putting in apartments. And,
Who's the code officer then?
Tim Barrett.
He's gonna require sprinklers on the building. Got a sprinkler building and stuff, okay? He's got a fire separation between, he's gotta have sprinklers, and there's no room on the site already with the parking you're talking about. I think the parking in the front will be awfully crowded. But anyhow, that's, I suppose, code officer knows what he's doing.
They have a staff work order. They have a staff work order on the project as a whole, and I think
Okay.
they're pulling their hair out. I think they've had a lot of challenges with the project as it is. And they found out about it when there was advertisements for the new bagel shop on the third floor on social media. So, it's
The Hamlet, the residential Hamlet district was not allowed for those businesses? Does it not allow for it? So it's not allowed?
The uses are allowed, right?
I don't know. Did I say it?
no, it's not. No.
Then what's
All the uses are
in
allowed.
the residential Hamlet? What doesn't allow?
And 1, 2, and 3 family units. This is part of why they're so frustrated, because they're trying to implement something and trying to convince the community that this is what's best for us, but it's broken to begin with. But they are like,
This is not a Hamlet area,
residential,
right downtown.
It's right downtown.
residential, Hamlet.
Allow our homeowners.
Yeah, anything. I mean, go there, it should go there. And this has been a vacant building for how long? It's sad that they have to struggle so hard to get something.
And they're also in that tough place, right? Because the community is like, yay! It's like
Be nice to have her.
we're gonna have some bagels.
Yeah, the pizza shop over here that everybody comes, a long ways to go to the pizza shop there.
Was it was a bank?
It was bad.
It was,
There was obviously plenty of cars parking around where it was a bank and that kind of stuff.
the whole front of the store, I'd say like 5, 6 across the front of it anyway alone. It used to
It
be.
used to be a grocery store in that.
Yeah. Well, at the bank on one side and private dime or something else.
But they can only fit. And I think that like sometimes I've seen like more cars that'll park here than just 3. This is where they pull off the street, but with the dimension,
Right.
that's all it, but.
Is there room behind it? It looks like
So
it might.
they're taking this off. They've already taken this.
That is a structure in the back.
Yeah.
Parking.
Yeah, and that's where they're proposing to put the park.
So how many apartments? I mean, it would be wise to maybe
So-
reduce them.
Their town board already approved it. They didn't sign it. So this is part of the learning process, but they had reviewed it internally. Then they came to us and we said, whoa, we gotta back this up. We need to review it first. And they said, okay, they put a stop work order on everything. But they told them already that they could not do 4 apartments. So now they're evaluating it for 3, but that's not what we had received in our application.
Oh.
So we said, well, we're just reviewing it with the information that we were provided. I think like things are changing,
Mhm.
you know, as it's,
So how would that affect the parking, 3 instead of 4?
Well,
Cut it by 2, right?
So
Either way, they're gonna need parking
the
spot.
building they took down for parking, is that a separate parcel?
no,
No.
no, it's like on the same parcel. But that's why our concern too is like, where are you gonna put your leach field? What about your septic? There's not municipal.
There's no
It's
sewer there.
not already connected there?
No, it's municipal water, but there's no.
Yeah, there's no sewer there.
municipal septic.
So there's really not room to put 4 apartments. They go with the number of bedroom for the side of the septic.
Mm-hmm.
I think I got gravel out there, it's still.
Where is it now?
At 8 bedrooms,
Is there an old one? or-
you're in problems.
They said that there's tanks. We talked to the environmental health department. I mean, and they were like, whoa. I think that there are some hurdles, but that's why we try to keep emphasizing. I think that there's
Yeah.
some challenges that I'm not sure how they'll, you know, but
The septic's gonna be difficult for them to meet.
You think? They had it under.
But they can't get a certificate of occupancy unless they have a certificate.
Truthfully, I think they're not supposed to issue a building permit until they get.
But, and they never applied for the, they didn't.
So that's what something
Yes.
will be in place
Yes.
until you all sort it out.
Yeah, I looked up the tax records. They also own the property across the street.
That's the old hotel, but this one also owns to the right, out back there. I noticed on that.
Back here?
Further.
I thought it was just right across the street. Is it, did I read it wrong?
I think it's his sister and another brother own the old hotel. Oh, this is Bryce or somebody else, and then if you go out back, down Post Office Ave, that house out back there, I think he owns.
So this is a very new owner who's not from around here.
Yeah, we already sold all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
He sold most of that stuff.
Yeah, this is,
This is a very new owner, and I think that he's, originates from downstate. And,
Oh, this is Alex, so and so, yeah.
yeah, this is,
What's about the property?
yeah, I think he owns the one across the street.
So he bought the hotel.
And,
And so, and they said that something on the hotel will be coming. But they're so frustrated because these things, they're trying to put out these fires in town, around town, things that are happening already. That they're trying to kind of wrap their arms around. I mean, but poor Jason was at it, he's a new chair, and he's got a farm in Cincinnati, he's been chair of their board. So he's like spending more time on this than farming. Poor town.
right,
But yeah, they're gonna have problems with, but again, probably get us approvals for health department or for building permit, if the guy knows he's doing for the building permit without some major work. Anyhow.
But should we add the sprinklers? Yeah.
It's required sprinklers.
Right. Is that something that we should specifically?
Wasn't there a couple
Think it's not
of
close to
something
that.
stories
I
for
think-
sprinklers?
Yeah,
No.
whatever additional
I know it's-
information they will provide, they're work on it.
Rejuvenate the full
And they're
floor.
like, they want to use it.
They want to go sprinklers and otherwise.
More about.
There's something in here, number 3 says.
Anything beyond 2 families.
Sprinkler, I
Requires
was not so much just for.
Part two, I don't know, it's just.
For apartments,
When I,
trigger that also, but.
But that's building permit, that's not zoning. So you really, I don't want
Yeah,
to
yeah.
build, mix up zoning and building.
There's something in here that says compliance with current fire code, but
Right. And that's a code officer who knows what he's doing, should be on top of that.
Yeah.
And that's really not something that I think zoning
Well,
should
that
be
should be
talking about a bit. Personally, but, you know,
Well, and I just talked to Jason about that. I'm like,
well, I just hope we know what he's doing.
no, it's in their thing.
Yeah, just didn't write it.
It's in the write-up, so that should be, yeah, right here.
I'm surprised they got as far as they did without anyone noticing.
Like, accurate dimensions, I have some information.
So like right in the middle.
I mean, it's one of those things, like, all of a sudden there's a dumpster out back and, you know, it's,
Yeah.
but, and the code enforcement officers, you know, cover, this one, it covers quite a few towns.
You probably part-time for the once a week.
really, Scott, doing all that.
Doesn't.
Yeah, he did, last year, I'm sure he still does.
There's a problem with rural
Yeah.
communities.
There's a problem in small municipalities because there are
That's the
part-time
problem.
people there, they're 1 or 2 days a week.
And they go to find different.
Yeah.
Right here in Cortland, too, by the way, so a lot of houses that get built
Yeah.
a long way before everybody finds out about it.
Yeah.
So I bring a motion to accept your recommendation.
We're doing our other motion, we had the motion already.
Do we have it?
We already had the motion, we have discussion, we should, so we are, yeah, I think it was you moved it, and I think Don seconded it, right?
Okay.
Well, that was.
No, I thought, we're, this is like, we accept your staff, a motion to accept staff recommendation was made,
Yeah.
and then we're having our discussion on it afterwards. So if we don't have any more discussion, we can vote on it. I think. All in favor of staff's recommendation, then? You opposed?
It was, I was like, we gotta get going here. I have to leave in 5 minutes, so.
Yes, we got anything else?
I think that's it, right?